Hello and good morning. This is an early episode. I'm dropping this early this morning. I'm recording it today, early this Sunday morning, May 7th. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Self-Love Witch Podcast. I am your host, Kimberly. And today's episode is definitely going to be unfiltered, definitely going to be uncut, because your girl has some things to say. And you know what? I'm not really going to hold back at this moment in time because I feel like this is something that is going to help a lot of people when they hear this. Because it's definitely helping me, just reaffirming me. And I've had so much confirmation regarding this situation. So, if you guessed by the title, today I'm talking about trusting your intuition, trusting your gut, trusting the energy that you read. And I'm going to give you guys some examples from my personal experience of why it's so important to do so and how to kind of pay attention and be able to gauge energy and basically possibly save your life. Because let's be real, I feel like your intuition, if you know how to separate, your intuition from your anxiety, your intuition definitely is something that is there to guide you throughout this life, guide you throughout your journey to assist in always benefiting your greatest good, and benefiting your purpose here. So, before I begin, I want to say, thank you for tuning in again. Please leave a review of the podcast. Please rate the podcast. If you enjoy my podcast, please leave a 5-star rating. Please don't be afraid to send me voice messages, send me an email, send me a DM on the Instagram at the Self-Love Witch Podcast. I love hearing from you guys. I love when you guys comment and tell me that you guys like the podcast. I love that so much. So let's get right into it. So, where do I even begin? So trusting your intuition, right? It sounds like, it could sound cliche, I know. Trust your gut, you hear that a lot throughout adult life. I feel like everyone has heard that at some point when it comes to regards of making a decision or anything like that. But I can express how important it is to do so. Y'all. First reason why, protecting your energy. You know what I mean? I feel like your intuition comes in forms of so many different ways. It comes in the form of dreams. It comes in the form of your body reacting to certain ways. It comes in the form of plans getting canceled or thrown off, as you're departing. I feel like that's more so like spirit working on your behalf. I always say any type of rejection or redirection or anything like that is simply like a kind of like an angel kind of moving direction for you, because I feel like you never really know if something is canceled, if something is kind of thrown off or whatever, you're not able to go, or anything. I feel like that is completely out of your control and it's just messed up. I always look at that as a complete redirection sent by spirit. And I feel like it's always done for your greatest good and for your protection. You never know what you're being protected from when things are completely swayed, from your direction. You know what I mean? You don't know what you're being protected from. And I have so many stories on situations like this. I remember I wanted to go out with a particular group of friends, and oh my God, I have so many stories like this. I remember I wanted to go out with a specific group of friends, and my spirit was like feeling a little off about it, because typically I'm a social butterfly. So typically I want to go outside. I love outside. I don't particularly like drinking though, but I like being outside, like having a good time. I love to dance. Dancing is like my first love. So I'm always down to go out and dance. You know what I mean? But this particular night, I was like, I don't feel like going. I was like, no, I'm not going to go. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not going to go. And honey, lo and behold, I ended up going. And I remember this night, mind you, my intuition was saying, stay inside, stay inside. And I ended up losing my glasses in the club. Okay, I ended up losing my seeing glasses, my driving glasses. I lost them in the club. Oh, Lord, that was not a good look. Not only that, my purse basically was open the whole night. So anything could have happened because it was like unlatched. You know what I mean? This weird guy would just not leave me alone for the life of him. And I was uncomfortable the whole night. Yeah, I kept getting lost in the club. So yeah. I kept losing who I was with, the people I came with. It was just not a good night, and I learned from that night. I feel like that was the first night I was like, yeah, trust your intuition. But let's get on to more serious things, right? Because I feel like we all have those, those stories that aren't very serious and those ones that are super serious. So, y'all, like I said, you want to focus on protecting your energy, right? Because this is very spiritual. So, I'm going to talk about this particular person I dated. I'm not stating any names because I'm not giving anyone any free press. But if you're listening, you know who you are. I remember I was dating this person. And this person, we started out good. We started out great. Everything was cool. I had no idea this person was a little tad bit crazy. So I'm typically the type of person, I don't like people coming to my house. I think I've told everyone knows that I don't like people coming to my house unless I feel like I genuinely have a connection with you and I genuinely know you and there is genuine love and care and I feel like you're, a soul sister or you're like a soul brother or I genuinely like you and I genuinely have gotten to know you because my home is my sacred space, so I don't play when it comes to that. So I remember this person wanted to come over. And it was the first time when we first started dating. And I was like, I'm not really feeling it yet. I'm not really feeling like I've been giving the okay, within my spirit for you to come. But by this time, we were already in a relationship. I was moving super fast, y'all. Don't ask me why. I got together with this person in 2 weeks. It was a bad decision. I will never do that again. I feel like we all have stories like that. But this person wanted to come over. And I was like, okay, why not? You know what I mean? Because I was always going over their house and X, Y, and Z. So the night before this person was supposed to come over, tell me why I had a dream. And it was vivid as day. And I feel like when you can recall your dreams, those are warning signs. So I was asleep and I had a dream about a black figure or someone was knocking at my door. And I just recall seeing my neighbor and she was like, oh, Kim, someone's at your door. I'm like, okay. Open the door. It's a black figure, y'all. It has no face. It has no nothing. It's just like an energy. And of course, I shut my door in my dream. And, it didn't fight me to come in. But it was definitely a sign from my intuition and from spirit telling me this was not an energy to come in. Now, hear me out. I saw no warning signs with this person. I thought this person could do no wrong, okay? But we all know as grown adults that masks tend to fall off. Everyone wears a mask in some form or fashion. I feel like we should strive to not wear masks more often because it's not good to trick people into how you truly are with your character and things of that sort. So, lo and behold, I was like, oh, I don't know why I had this dream. Like, this person seems pretty fine, you know what I mean? And so I, brushed that to the side. I would never do anything like that again. So this person came over. Kid you not, we were together for like a month. And the whole relationship was so toxic, and this person was very verbally abusive, very degrading, and just not the type of person that I would ever want to be with. And it was a very spiritual experience for me, because I would get to the point of having panic attacks because my energy was so disturbed and because I didn't want to accept the facts. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, I got a sign. And from my intuition, I had so many more signs after that. And I know from personal experience, when you do deny your intuition, you will start to go crazy mentally. I can't explain it. I'm going to try to explain it in words. When you ignore your intuition tells you things right off bat about certain people. It's your rejection of the message that causes the frustration and causes the unease. And I felt a lot of unease with it, a lot of situations, because I was denying what my intuition was telling me. You do have to trust the energies that you pick up. You can't ignore your intuition. Your intuition is ancient. I feel like it's an ancient gift that's passed on, from your ancestors. I feel like we do inherit the intuition of our ancestors. And I come from a very intuitive line of, women and men. So I feel like, we have certain spiritual knowledge that we may not be able to put into words, but we know how it feels. But if we don't tap in, we kind of think, oh, we're just going crazy. Oh, we're just tripping. Oh, we're anxious. And the truth is, no, you're not. You're not. You have to just learn to accept what things are, right? So lo and behold, that happened. Turned out that was a warning sign. It was to the point, y'all, my plants were dying. My plants would die when this person would come over, and I would notice it. I'd be like, why? My plants was doing fine all this time, and then this person would come over. Now, my house is spiritually protected because I don't play that. So when someone comes into my space, I'm always going to be revealed within something within my space that an energy was in that shouldn't have been there. So, yeah, that's a more serious sign. I can go on and on. I need to make another episode about how you have to be extremely careful with who you date, because it's not only a relationship, it's a spiritual binding, and you have to be extremely careful with who you attach your heart space and your womb space to. You have to be extremely careful with that, because it impacts everything. Who you date impacts everything. So yeah, not even after that, after I had that dream about that black figure trying to come into my house, I was reading Women Who Run with the Wolves. If you have not read that book, I completely confess with my tongue, read that book. That book is such a spiritual experience. It's such a great book for women to read, especially if you're diving into feminine energy and you're diving into your just the divinity of your womanhood. I feel like it's a very beautiful book to read. So I remember I was just, chilling. It was a work day, and I was on break, and I opened my book just randomly. Sometimes I like to open books to random pages. And I will not forget. I opened my book to a random page because I was like, Spirit, speak to me. So open the book and tell me why it landed on the page talking about when a woman dreams of a black figure. When I tell you, I'm not making this stuff up, okay? I feel like it sounds like I'm not making it up, okay? As a matter of fact, let me go get the book, as a matter of fact. And I will read an excerpt from it, because I want you guys to know how real your intuition is and how much it really warns you to save your life. And I just want to let you know you're not alone. Your intuition is a part of spirit. Your intuition is a part of you, and it's always talking. So just a moment. Let me go write my book. Okay, y'all. I am back. So This is Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. It's called Myth and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. So it really dives into the spiritual aspect of womanhood and the wild woman. So it talks about the female soul. It talks about intuition. It talks about the woman's spirit. So this is on page 67. And it's within the chapter of Stalking the Intruder, the beginning initiation. And the title of this section is called The Dark Men in Women's Dreams. So I'm going to begin. The natural predator of the psyche is not only found in fairy tales, but also in dreams. There is a universal initiatory dream among women, one so common that it is remarkable if a woman has reached age 25 without having had such a dream. The dream usually causes women to jolt awake, striving and anxious. This is the pattern of the dream. The dreamer is alone, often in her own home. There are one or more prowler types outside in the dark. Frightened, she dials the emergency phone number for help. Suddenly, she realizes the prowler is inside the house with her, close to her. Perhaps she can feel its breath. Perhaps he is even touching her, and she cannot ring the emergency number. The dreamer awakens instantly, breathing gutturally, heart like a crazy drum. There is a strong physical aspect to having a dream of the dark man. The dream is often accompanied by sweat, struggle, hoarse breathing, heart pounding, and sometimes cries and moans of the fear from the dreamer. We could say the dream maker has dispensed with subtle messages to the dreamer, and now sends images which shake the neurological and automatic. The neurological and autonomic nervous system of the dreamer, thereby communicating the urgency of the matter. The antagonists of this dark man dream are usually, in women's own words, terrorists, rapists, thugs, concentration camp, Nazis, murderers, criminals, creeps, bad men, thieves. There are several levels to the interpretation of such a dream, depending on the life circumstances and the interior dramas surrounding the dreamer. For instance, often such a dream is a reliable indicator that a woman's consciousness, as in the case of a very young woman, is just beginning to gain awareness of the innate psychic predator. In other instances, the dream is a harbinger. The woman dreamer has just discovered or is about to discover and begin liberating a forgotten and captive function of her psyche. Under yet other circumstances, the dream is about an increasingly intolerable situation in the culture outside the dreamer's personal life, one in which she's being called to either fight or flee. Okay. Then I'm going to skip a paragraph really quickly, and I'm going to go down into this here. It says, the dark man in women's dreams appears when an initiation, a psychic change from one level of knowing and behavior to another more mature or more energetic level of knowledge and action is imminent. This dream occurs as to yet to be initiated, as well as to those who are veterans of several rites of passage, for there is always more initiation. No matter how old a woman becomes, no matter how many years pass, she has yet more ages, stages, and more first times awaiting her. That is what initiation is all about. It creates an archway which one prepares to pass through to a new manner of knowing and being. Dreams are portals, entrances, preparations, and practices for the next step in consciousness, the next day in the individuation process. So a woman might have a dream of the predator when her psychic circumstances are too quiescent or complacent. We could say that this occurs in order to raise a storm in the psyche, so that some energetic work can be done. I agree with that. But also, a dream like this affirms that the woman's life needs to be changed, that the woman dreamer has gotten caught in some hiatus or a ennui as regards a difficult choice, that she is reluctant to take the next step on, go the next distance, that she is shying away from wresting her own power away from the predator, that she is not used to being or acting or striving at her full bore in all-out capacity. There are also wake-up calls. They say, pay attention. Something has gone radically amiss in the outer world, in personal life, or in the outer collective culture. So, and this whole section of this goes so deep into that. You know, it talks about how they can be warnings and X, Y, and Z, but it's just so crazy how my intuition led me to that section of the book. And like I said, I always say nothing is a coincidence. If something happens right on the dot and there's no coincidence, there's no correlation to how things could have occurred, always take that as a sign for spirit. Always take that as a sign for spirit. But yeah, as you know, as I'm sure some of you can understand, I was like, whoa. You know, when you ignore your intuition too, you know, like I said, spiritually as an intuitive person, that's the worst thing you can do, because you do have consequences of experiencing that. You may not get a good night's rest for a long while until you make the decision and until you pay attention. You may not, I don't know, you may be very irritable. You know, your mood, I feel like, is a very spiritual, it's very reflective of your spiritual health as well. So yeah, that's a more serious aspect of trusting one's intuition. And, you know, just another key example as to why it's important to protect your energy and kind of put every person you meet through that, put them through that test, not saying give them a test, but kind of, you know, listen to your intuition when you're interacting with anybody, you know, and kind of learn your intuition, because, you know, every person you meet cannot possibly have the best intentions and cannot possibly be for your greater good. Not every single person, you know what I mean? It's a spiritual, you know, it's spiritual warfare out here. It's spiritual warfare. You have to be aware of the energies that are trying to be around you. Every energy that is trying to connect with you is not always trying to just experience you and love you and treat you well. People have whole lives and whole life stories and whole needs and, you know, X, Y, and Z's that they're trying to attain, whether personally or from different people. And some people are so energy deprived that they will try to suck yours, and try to diminish your light to assist them in their journey, because, you know, not everyone are givers of light. Some people are takers of light. Some people are dimmers of light. They don't even necessarily take it for them because they wouldn't know what to do with the light. They just like to dim it. And that's just facts. But I will say, if you're like me and you are a naturally bubbly person, I can really talk with anyone. And I feel like that's a great quality about myself, because I really can interact with pretty much anyone. However, I've had to learn that it's not always a good idea, because as you get older and, you know, you're around people and you're meeting people in X, Y, and Z, within adulthood, I've realized, you know, now that we're older, people have a lot of things that they're trying to heal within themselves, because, you know, we're no longer children, you know, we're in adulthood, we're learning, we're navigating. I feel like the 20s are time periods where we are going through a crucial time where we're learning ourselves, we're learning how to adult, you know, we're getting, you know, we're learning how to, you know, have momentum in the world, we're learning how to make a name for ourselves, but we're hungry, we're striving, we're ambitious. However, I feel like that energy can bring out the worst in people. Some people become greedy. Some people become very angry people. Some people become very bitter people, whether it's due to finances, relationships, X, Y, and Z, whatever it may have you. I've learned, you know, some people tend to, you know, become lesser versions of themselves. And, you know, a lot of people tend to operate in an energy that does not benefit them because they don't know how to access that more positive energy within themselves. And this is not toxic positivity, but it's just the observation I've been making. You know, it takes more work to still remain a good person, you know, wholeheartedly a genuine person in this world nowadays. It takes more work to maintain that energy, especially when you come across a lot of energies that don't value that genuine energy. You know what I mean? And because a lot of us are in this mindset now of just like, by any means, you know, it's a there's a large lack of human compassion in the world. So, you do have to be aware that you have to be protective of your energy in the spaces that you put yourself in. And you do need to pay attention to how people treat you is how they feel about you. You know what I mean? And you do have to pay attention to things like that. Don't let anybody tell you that they feel a specific way about you, but their actions show differently. Don't be fooled with that. Do not be fooled. Don't be like me and be fooled with that in the past. Friends, lovers, don't be fooled by that. Don't have someone tell you, oh, I love you, I care about you, and they talk to you crazy. They don't honor your feelings. They don't respect your boundaries, X, Y, and Z. Let the actions always be the money. The actions are the money. The words are the intent to buy. The actions is the money. The money is what's going to get the outcome. So let the actions be the money, okay? But wholeheartedly, though, I feel like as a collective, a lot of us, we do need to learn to read a room and trust the energy that we read. I was out recently and my boo came out with me. And, I'm the type of person, like I said, I like to go out, I like to dance. And I don't really care to read energy if I don't need to. And basically that means if I know I'm with a select group and I know that they rock with me and I know I'm safe. I have a thing where I don't like to go out with people that I don't know will have my back in any situation that occurs. Especially when it's around any liquor or any crowded spaces. I like to go out with people that I know truly care about me and, wouldn't allow anything to take place when it comes to me. Because that's very important. That's very, very important. Stop going out with people that you just met 5 days ago and, you wondering why they left you at the party. You know what I'm saying? You need to go out with people that care about your spirit and care about your safety. That's very important. Very important. I can't stress that enough. I feel like that's why, so many bad situations have taken place, especially with Black women, not coming back alive and not being back home. You know what I mean? Because we're going out with people that don't mean us any good. And I always say the warning signs are always there, but we tend to put things aside. And that's why I always say, baby, best believe anything that makes my spirit feel off, I'm going to address it. And I'm also not going to take it as like, just a little mishap. I look at the principle of everything, and I feel like more people should do that. You know what I mean? Because for a long time, I just tended to, if things happen, I would just be like, okay, I wouldn't take it too personal. But, since we're older and when it comes to how people treat you and how they move with you, that is directly towards you. I'm not saying, be impractical. Like, people have lives. Everything that occurs is not directly an act against you. But you know when it is, right? And so when it is, you need to pay attention and you need to move accordingly. And I don't care about the history. I don't care about the love you may have for that person. I know, because it can cause foggy vision sometimes. But the truth of the matter is, you can feel how you feel about a person, but organically, you don't really truly know how they actually feel about you. You're not in their head. You know what I mean? Don't let your love blind you. Go by the actions and go by how you're treated with people or by people. And, and don't let them show it to you twice. Okay? I've been in spaces, like I said, I was out with my boo and I was friendly and I was like, hi to a certain group of people. And there was this one girl in particular that I thought we were cool. I didn't see no problem. I could engage in issue. You know what I'm saying? It was always love when I saw her. And this particular day, I said, hey, everybody. She didn't speak to me. She walked right past me. Was acting funny the entire night. But of course, me, like I'm a type of person. I will look and I will peep something. And I'd be like, oh, okay, that's energy you're on. I don't even give it any more time, energy, and space in my mind. I just stay away from you. That's the kind of person I am. If it's to the point where the energy is just, I feel like not genuine or reciprocated, I'm the type of person, I'll just act like you don't exist. And I'm not even upset about things like that, because I feel like the energy that is for me, I don't even entertain energy. I don't even entertain someone's hate or disdain for me, because I just don't. I know the energy that I put out, and I know, like, if there was an issue, you could have come to me about it. But if not, then that means you want to be you want to feel how you feel about me. You want to actively keep that energy you feel about me. And that's fine. You can keep that. That's fine. That's fine with me. But I don't tend to entertain or dwell on it too much. But I know after that night, my boo put me aside and was like, the energy was bad. She was like, the energy was just, it wasn't genuine towards you. Like, I saw how, X, Y, and Z, and I was like, oh. And I was like, well, yeah, I kind of knew it was going to be like that, but I just don't care. And it was like, well, you, even though you don't care, even though you know how to protect yourself from negative energy and things like that, doesn't mean you should allow yourself to dwell in spaces for you to have to protect yourself. You know what I mean? You should put yourself in spaces where, you are protected. And me, I'm just thinking like, well, I'm the type of person, I'm only really going to interact with the people that I know when I go out in spaces that are unfamiliar, because I'm not really for interacting with strangers in alcohol-involved settings. But, I respected what she said, because it's true. Just because you're able to deal with something doesn't mean you should. And, of course, we went because we want to have fun, you know what I mean? And I'm the type of person, okay, I'll stay away from you the whole night. And I had a blast, you know what I mean? I was dancing, having a ball, But, I feel like I do tend to ignore negative feelings that may arise about people, or just off of people's energy, because I just don't want to ingest it and dwell on it too much. But I guess that's just like something I've just grown to be more okay with. I've grown to be okay with people not liking me, or people misreading me, or whatever. I actually truly don't care. But nevertheless, you should not put yourself in spaces. Granted, I didn't know, but now that I know, I was like, okay, I have to be responsible to not put myself in spaces that would disturb my peace. Even if I know I'm good at protecting my peace, there are people out there who want to disturb your peace, and they want to make it very prevalent and evident that they want to disturb your peace. And that's on them. But like I said, I just try to stay away from spaces like that. So that's another example of being able to read the room and not putting yourself in spaces where you may have to fight for your peace. But yeah, trust any weird energy you receive. Start calling people out about it. I am pro, if my intuition is feeling something, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to, take a mental note. I may observe a little longer. And then if I truly care about you, I'll call it out. But if I don't, and I just see it's coming from a malicious type of energy, I'll just cut it out. Because, I feel like it's dangerous. Like I said, it's spiritual warfare to be around people that don't really want the best for you, or that don't really like you as a person. It's spiritual warfare. And I don't ignore any side remarks. I don't ignore any, slick remarks. If someone is always picking at you when you're out with a group of friends and they're always just picking at you, or if it's all smile energy for everybody else, but when you come around it's all like it's weird energy, pay attention to that. If they move a specific way with everybody else, but when it comes to you it's very different, and it's clear, and it's and it's isolated, pay attention to that. Tell you, like, people's actions will always tell you how they feel about you. People's energy cannot lie. And I feel like the more you pay attention to your intuition, the more you'll be able to realize people's true intentions and energy towards you. Energy does not lie. If you are awake and you are alive, your intuition will let you know everything you know about everybody. The only way you will not be able to pick it up is if you are blinding yourself and not, and not knowing how to separate your feelings from your intuition, because they are different. But yeah, y'all, like that's the episode for today. It's a lengthy episode today, but I had to get that out because this retrograde has been retrograding, honey. Okay, and yeah, that's all I gotta say. TBD, to be discussed. I have a lot more things I want to discuss that I have been revealed this retrograde that literally I know. If you're a Scorpio, I know you're going through it. Because I'm going through it. But you know what? This full moon just passed. And I feel really good. I feel really good within myself. I feel really good within my own energy. I feel very connected to spirit right now. I feel very relaxed within my spirit. And I have had no problem with cutting out energies that should not have any access to me. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing, because I used to feel a lot of guilt about things like that. And, I always want to say, just strive to do what's best for you. You can never go wrong with doing that and making that decision. But thank you so much for tuning in to the Self-Love Witch podcast. Thank y'all for showing so much love and support. We've been active for about 2 years now, about to be 2 years. And I'm so excited about that. Also, like I said, follow the podcast at the Self-Love Witch podcast. If you want to donate monthly to the podcast, you are able to do so. I know I had a few people ask about that. You are able to do so. And thank you guys so much. And be blessed and have a magical, magical Sunday. Peace.